You know what DK stands for?
Oh, banana. Yeah.
Donkey Kong 64. This game was made in '99, in the middle of Rare's N64 golden era. Rip Rare. The game featured the use of N64's revolutionary expansion pack, which added a whopping 4 megabytes of RAM to the console. Mind you, this was a big deal because they hadn't developed downloadable RAM yet. This added capability allowed for the game to be more immersive, carry more assets, and just provide a crisper look to its gameplay. Rare had just finished Banjo-Kazooie, and bits and pieces of the game mimic Banjo-Kazooie in style, most notably the soundtrack and the overall silliness. I remember getting this game for Christmas as a 9-year-old and dancing vivaciously to the monkey rap with my cousins in Grandma and Grandpa's basement. Revisiting the track, you can see why the current state of hip-hop is filled with low-effort, weak-ass artists. Can't climb higher than the peak! If you look closely, Donkey Kong is actually a monkey, not to be confused with a donkey like Japanese translators from the OG game way back in 1981. Donkey Monkey has an obsession with big golden bananas which he never actually seems to eat or use as viable currency as far as we can tell, but how would I know the economic detail of the Kong universe? I mean, the guy owns an island in the shape of his head. As the story goes, King K. Rool crashes into Donkey Kong Island to imprison all of DK's pals and to take all of his bananas. You're tasked with breaking them out of their prison cells while collecting these bananas in order to get the weird sign guys to disappear because K. Rool will turn them into driftwood. But if they knew that you were going to get the bananas anyway, then maybe K. Rool kind of expected you to get the bananas he stole? And then you collect enough small colorful bananas, but not the big golden guys. You feed them to a hippo so that a pig can turn a silver key to unlock the boss room, where a monkey is chosen to fight the big baddie who carries a golden key so that you can break out this BFG crocodile out of his cage, and exciting him every time you do to the point where he causes earthquakes that reveal the means to enter the next stage up until the point you actually get to fight K. Rool in a boxing match. I mean, as far as video games are concerned, the logic behind it is sounder than trigonometry proofs. Every stage has the same number of bananas, both golden and colorful, which each Kong can collect, 5 gold, 100 colorful. Some bananas are easier to obtain than others, and some are just not worth the trouble. As you break them out of their cages, each Kong is capable of obtaining different abilities from DK's grandfather. Dad? Either way, Cranky sets up shop and you use colorful coins to buy new upgrades from him, which allows Diddy to get jetpacks, Lanky to walk on his hands, Chunky to grow bigger, Tiny to grow smaller, and DK to pull levers. Yay. Of all the characters in the game, I'd definitely say that Tiny is my favorite simply because of her mobility mechanics, namely her hair twirl. But if I'm being honest here, on my playthrough of the game so many years later, I found the game to be clunky and not nearly as enjoyable. I mean, you have these cute moments where the big guy doesn't want to leave the safety of the monkey barrel, but I found myself traversing out into the world and then back to the barrel a lot. Or performing the same stunts to collect a different monkey's coins or bananas. And this is actually a common gripe you hear a lot about this game, and I didn't quite believe it until I played it again. I don't think I wanted to believe it. See, there's a lot of action for the sake of action, without really any substance behind it. Some of the levels are designed fairly poorly, and half the time you're fighting the camera rather than actually playing through the game. And this is very disappointing in a game where platforming and mobility was its mainstay. But now you got these clunky controls which never adhere to the movement you're intending, whether you overshoot a jump or you stop moving entirely, because attacks are linked to the same button and perform variable functions depending on your movement. Also, they implemented a feature where each Kong gets their own instrument to play, but this button combo is right next to the one which draws out your guns, and nearly matches the button you'd have to push in order to aim the weapon in first person. It's not really a penalty as the instruments kill all the enemies in sight, but when you're just trying to shoot a switch and you gotta watch a 5 to 7 second guitar solo, the small nuisances really start to build up over time. Honestly, I wish I hadn't played through this game again, because I'd definitely gone back to old memories before, and none of them left the salty taste in my mouth that Donkey Kong 64 did. I mean, I got 201 bananas in that first playthrough way back when I was 20 years younger, but maybe that's the piece that I'm missing? I don't fit the target demographic anymore? I don't know. I'll leave with Exhibit F for Feather. for failure. Here I come to my favorite level that I remember from my childhood, Fungi Forest. First thing I do is outline the map so I can get my bearings. I come in as Tiny, follow her purple banana trail, and I'm just amazed that they put up a second gate for a different Kong. Why? It's unnecessary and it doesn't make sense. So now I'll rate this game the number of bananas out of the max that I could stomach without raging in this later life playthrough, 103 out of 201. So that's a 5 out of 10, which would actually push it off this top 100 list, but I made it with the intention of never changing it once I actually started the project, so through inertia, DK64, number 98.